Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle Chat podcast here in WrestlingRumors.net. My name is Avi Morales, and today I got a special guest with me. I got Thomas Hall, our resident reviewer here at WrestlingRumors.net. Hey man, how you doing today?
Yes, sir. I'm doing all right. How are you?
We're doing good here. I don't know. I'm guessing in a positive mood. Just got some word today for everyone that doesn't know. Since I'm from Puerto Rico, like my family's doing all right. They got electricity and all that, so I'm in a good mood.
That's always good to hear.
Yeah, so we're here to ready to rock out with our new little fancy setting here for a little wrestle chat. And of course, as everyone can see, if you're looking at this from our YouTube video, our first topic is the announcement of Kenny Omega wrestling Chris Jericho. This is coming off what happened at Power Struggle, their last show for New Japan. Chris Jericho just out of nowhere appears on television and challenges Kenny Omega. Of course, this coming after a ton of exchanges on Twitter. This is an impressive announcement, man. Like this came out of left field. Like we've been hearing them talk, and we were just assuming they were gonna fight in a cruise. Like to me, that sounded crazy, but this sounds even crazier. Like Chris Jericho back in New Japan.
Yeah, he was around back in the early to mid '90s when he was just traveling the world doing the Lionheart gimmick. Now though, it's Jericho is bigger than life. The thing that interests me the most about this, it's going to be a big match. I've heard some people say that it's a downgrade for Omega, but I'm sorry, Jericho is one of the biggest stars WWE has ever had. New Japan is the second biggest promotion in the world, but it's still a far cry behind WWE on a worldwide. If you're looking at just the worldwide influence of it, having Jericho show up there, a legitimate A-list international star, show up to face Omega is a big deal. I don't know if the match is going to be up to the standards that New Japan is used to with Omega. And by that I mean I don't know if they'll be able to hit 72 dives or only 71. Plus a bunch of other ridiculous finishers. You can probably pencil Omega into kicking out of 15 code breakers at least, and about a dozen lion salts. Which I'm assuming they'll say only gives the match 18 stars. Uh, the be good. It's going to be a big deal. Jericho is one of those names that you just say internationally. He's just so well known, especially with this most recent run in WWE, which was possibly his best ever. So it's a huge match. It comes out of nowhere. It is better than them fighting on a cruise.
Yeah, and to be fair, everyone kicks out of the line salt, so that's really
That's true. That's true.
nothing new. But yeah, as far as appeal, like this match, like automatically is number two on the card at the very least. But for like the U.S.
Yeah.
market, this is the main event.
Yeah. Yeah. The main event's probably going to be Okada versus Naito, which, if you follow New Japan, is actually a heck of a story. Naito getting the title back after all this time would be a big deal, especially with Okada having set pretty much every record there is to set with the IWGP title. Um, that'll be the bigger main event for New Japan audiences, but for outside audiences, Jericho is the big deal, especially with Omega starting to get more known here. I mean, I'm going down to New Orleans next year, and I'm considering going to the Ring of Honor show over Takeover because Omega and the New Japan stars are going to be there. Which that covers, knowing my love for NXT, that covers a lot of ground.
Between that and your, I wouldn't say dislike, but just general unfavoritism of New Japan, that's actually impressive.
I wouldn't say unfavoritism. I would say there's a firm limit to how much I can take of New Japan. And Wrestle Kingdom is about it. I might watch one or two other shows, but I don't have time. I don't have the time or the patience to sit around watching a bunch of matches with people I don't know. The action in the ring is very good. I'm not the kind of fan who usually can just watch a match for the sake of the in-ring action. I need a story and a connection to these characters. And I don't really get that in New Japan, mainly because I don't understand the language. It's not about the New Japan product. It's about I am connected to WWE because I've followed these people for years and I know what's going on. I can get a general sense of the New Japan guys, but that's really about it.
Yeah, and I think one of the crazier things about this whole deal was the fact that Chris Jericho basically ended up here because NXT wouldn't be on his cruise. Like it's kind of a silly, wasted opportunity by WWE's part. I mean, for a little, I don't know, branching out. I mean, it's a cruise. It's something different for WWE, and they just turned it down. But Chris Jericho
Yeah,
just
well,
went to New Japan for it.
yeah, well, I mean, they to WWE's credit, when at TLC they tried to get Jericho to fight Balor, but he was on the road with Fozzy, so they had to get Styles instead. So WWE has been trying to work with Jericho very recently. Um, the cruise idea, it is a different idea. WCW had these actually back in their heyday. Um, so it's not the most original idea in the world. It's something you don't see very often, and it's a cool idea. Um, yeah, but I would need a little bit more than just Ring of Honor guys on there.
Yeah, but I guess oh man, I wouldn't know how to say. Like, it is such a big match. Like, and it also just comes to, like, out of like feel. Like, I remember I was watching Power Struggle and just said, I'll watch the rest of the show in the morning. I'll get some good night's sleep. Then I go to bed and I start looking around my Facebook wall, and
Yeah,
people are just going like, Chris Jericho's in New Japan. Like, whoa, what the hell did I miss? So I just
yeah,
got out of bed and there he is on my screen when I turned the TV back on.
yeah.
And
There was a I remember they had mentioned that there was going to be a big surprise for that show, and I thought it was going to be they were going to run their own show in New Orleans. They announced that they're coming back to America like 2 weeks before WrestleMania, again in California, and then they're like, "Oh, we have one more thing."
yeah,
And how you doing, Chris Jericho?
yeah, and one of the other things too, like they were teasing this Switchblade character who was
Mm-hmm.
Jay White basically at the end of the day,
Yeah,
and people were like the videos were similar. Like when they showed the Chris Jericho video, like right away I thought like he's supposed to be the Switchblade character. Turns out he wasn't. So it was kind of like a hook for the
yeah,
whole show.
yeah. And I like Jay White a lot. He's one of the few New Japan imports who I got attached to him in Ring of Honor. He's better than the Tempura boys who did nothing for me. But yeah, White was good. I saw him down at WrestleCon earlier this year. He's good in person too.
Yeah, but talking about big shakeups, like we got another huge shakeup going around. Like, hell, we might get more shakeups today. We're recording this before SmackDown. We got Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles, Universal Champion versus
Yes.
WWE Champion. This came out of freaking nowhere too.
I think it came out of the realization of, wait, we're really going to use Brock Lesnar against Jinder Mahal. I think someone finally woke up and realized, wait, what now? If you someone is shaking the heck out of this Survivor Series card. If you consider, like, 2 weeks ago, there was no Cena, there was no Triple H. Jason Jordan was penciled in during that time period, and it was Brock Lesnar against Jinder Mahal. That has all completely changed, and in a very good way. We're just kind of reaping the benefits of what is now a stacked show. Sunday's show is looking massive all of a sudden. You have Triple H on the show, which you knew with all those house shows he was doing, you knew he was getting ready for some big match. I thought it would be the Rumble or Mania, but that was a little bit early. So now it's very cool to see him doing this.
Well, it's kind of funny because I was noting last night, watching Raw. This card has completely changed. Like, first we had the title change for the tag team titles.
Yeah,
Then we had Styles winning the WWE title. We had basically the Shield being added with New Day as a separate match. And of
yeah.
course, we got the 5-on-5 team being shaken up. So we've literally like had 4 matches on this card changed. We're probably gonna get 2 more tonight if I'm taking my bets.
I'd bet on Charlotte winning. Not so sure about the U.S. title. I would bet on Charlotte winning.
Well, here's the thing. Like before all these changes happened, every interpromotional match on the card, aside from the Survivor Series matches, were heel versus heel, with the only exception being the tag title match.
Yeah.
Like somebody did not plan this card out well at all.
No, they really didn't. I mean, again, even like you said, even the champion versus champion match was still Lesnar versus Mahal, which is heel versus heel. I need more than I know. I don't know if you know this or not, but Survivor Series is the only time of the year where Raw and SmackDown go head to head individually,
I took a head
which is
count. I
yeah,
took a head
which is
count on
totally
that.
which is totally different from TLC, where AJ Styles from SmackDown and Finn Balor from Raw went head to head, or when they go head to head in the Royal Rumble. That's totally different. Um, yeah. Just, oh, believe me, Stephanie burned that into my head last night over and over again.
Oh, my favorite one was Jason Jordan dragging himself outside, begging Kurt Angle not to
Oh,
switch him out of the match. And he just randomly says it. Like, what kind of context is this?
yeah. My favorite one is Jordan saying he spent his whole life trying to get to represent his team. You mean like you did last year in the Raw versus SmackDown tag match? He's done this before. What are you talking about? The thing is, Jordan is trying. He is really. It's just not working. He's giving this everything he's got, and it's just not working.
Yeah, poor guy. But just to get back to topic with Styles and Lesnar,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
this is a monumental. This is like a WrestleMania level match,
Yep, absolutely.
and we got it out
Yeah.
of emergency. Like the second time AJ Styles has just put in a match out of emergency in a month.
Well, it helps so much having. That's one of the major things that WWE has that nobody else has. The depth of their roster. We're running low on talent. Hey, Kurt Angle, go in there. Triple H, you're next. No other company can do that. That's that's the amazing thing about this. You've got people were not interested in Mahal versus Lesnar. You had the anti-smarks who were like, Mahal is great. No, he wasn't. Stop talking. Just stop trying to be ironic. Mahal is not great. He's not good. He's average. Please stop pretending he's anything but. AJ has long since proven himself to be one of the best in the world. I'm really hoping that Lesnar actually puts some effort into this, because you've seen what Lesnar can do when he's motivated or when he's got someone he wants to work with. I'm hoping that's the case with AJ, who is kind of pretty much the only universally liked guy in wrestling anymore. I'm hoping that Lesnar treats him well. I'm also hoping that it doesn't go to a definitive finish. I have never liked the idea of saying one champion is better than the other, though WWE doesn't seem to mind at all. So hopefully this goes to a double count out or some interference or just like a cheating win or something like that.
Yeah, hopefully, because it would be a shame. Like you give AJ Styles a title and he loses right away. Like it's
Yeah.
silly booking. But
Yeah.
then again, we're gonna get a whole night of that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the at least it's gotten better than it used to be in Survivor Series, where you would see people eliminated with a clothesline. Um, yeah. The matches should be good. Lesnar versus Styles has the potential to be great. Unfortunately, it also has the potential to be Lesnar versus Ambrose all over again, where AJ can do whatever he wants and Lesnar just isn't interested in doing anything, which has happened multiple times.
I don't know. At least for this case, like especially after last night with Heyman's promo, like I gotta believe there's a level of respect for AJ that just didn't exist for poor Dean.
I'm hoping that's the case. AJ, like I said, AJ has long since proven that he belongs at the top level of anybody, and I'm hoping Lesnar goes with that and that they actually have a good, solid match that hopefully gets some time. With the show being extended, there's really no reason for this to get cut short.
Yeah, but and this isn't the only major match with changes. Like you got the Survivor Series match too. Like, boy, did this thing get redecorated overnight.
Yes, it did, and in a very good way. I mean, the weakest name in the Survivor Series match, I would say Shane, but then I'd probably have to hear Stephanie talk about how amazing her family is again. The weakest name in the Survivor Series match, I guess Bobby Roode.
Pretty much, yeah, and it's kind of crazy too. Like Rude and Nakamura teaming up with Randy Orton and John Cena. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But remember, Shane McMahon is the captain.
Oh yeah, he's front and center on that picture too. You gotta love
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. And then you have on Raw, it's Strowman, Joe, Balor, Angle, and Triple H. I guess the weak link is Strowman or Joe.
I'd go with Balor after losing with Kane.
Yeah, which again is saying that's covering a lot of very good ground. I mean, a former world champion is your weak link. That's they're
No,
doing well.
it is a really stacked match when you look at it. Well, aside from
Yeah,
Shane.
yeah. Who will somehow probably get to pin two people and kick out of at least two finishers.
We'll hear how amazing he is, even though he never wins.
Oh yeah,
That's my favorite. But yeah, like the Survivor Series turned around real quick. I find it kind of funny that only 3 matches in our card are like really big matches on the show, but they feel that big. Like this match, Styles and Lesnar, and of course New Day and the Shield.
that is that match isn't going to get the attention it deserves. That's a dream match. It legitimately is. It might not feel like one, but it kind of is. I mean, I can't off the top of my head. I can't think of another trio in WWE history that tops either of those two. I mean, maybe the original DX, if you're really stretching.
Maybe the triple threat in ECW. Nah, who am I kidding?
Thank you. I mean, if you're looking throughout wrestling history, the original NWO, the Freebirds. Help me out here.
That's all. That's
Yeah,
really all I got.
yeah. I mean, WWE Shield pretty much tops everybody, and New Day. New Day was around a lot longer than the Shield was. They don't have the individual accomplishments, but as a team, they certainly do. I mean, if nothing else, just the amount of tag titles in that long tag title reign where they actually broke Demolition's record, which was that's one of those records you never really expect to see broken, and they pulled it off.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I forgot about one trio,
Who's that?
the Wyatts.
I'm waiting on you to laugh. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Leave the sarcasm to me. The Wyatts were good. They
They did have that great match with the Shield at Elimination Chamber.
They did. Though I have a problem putting Eric Rowan in a group of anything with greatness involved.
Nah, but moving on. Like we got Mahal who lost the title last week, and it was a quick decline for Mahal. He's out of Survivor Series. Like that's how fast things moved with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And honestly, he should be.
And today you got the news that the 2 shows that were going to be held in India are going to be merged into one. It's just going to be one big super show, quote unquote, as WWE says, in New Delhi.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. Mahal didn't work. I give them credit. Let me start with this. I will give them credit for trying something. We sit here and complain day after day about how it's the same people over and over again. WWE tried. They tried something, and it completely failed.
Yeah, just poor Mahal wasn't ready for it at all.
No. The other problem with Mahal is it's not so much that he was a jobber, it's the fact that he was such a comedy joke for so long. This would be like taking Santino without the mid-card titles and putting him in this spot. You have to have a bridge to get there. Miz, that WrestleMania main event of his was not well received, but he had won pretty much everything else that there was to win. He had been built up to be the world champion. It fit at the time. The execution didn't work, but they tried. So, I mean, but now Mahal, his biggest moment was losing to Seth Rollins in the first ever NXT title match.
Yeah.
That was his career high point. I don't know what you're supposed to do with that.
Well, there's that in WLC too.
Well, yeah, that was still one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen. I was expecting nothing out of that and had a blast with it. But Mahal, outside of that one match with AJ, which again it was with AJ,
It
I
happened
don't
to be
remember
the
him.
end too.
Yeah, I don't remember him ever doing anything above average. And I'm sorry, also a lame Cobra Clutch Slam is supposed to be a threat to Brock Lesnar. Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, it took out Nakamura and Orton. Yeah, who am I kidding?
Don't get me started on that Nakamura match again. I'm sorry, I was there. The first time I ever saw Nakamura was when he was fighting Sami Zayn in Dallas. Sami Zayn beat on him for 20 minutes, and and he couldn't get rid of him. And now I'm supposed to buy that a Cobra Clutch Slam can beat him. No, no.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, no, I don't buy that. I never bought that. Nakamura was able to beat John Cena clean, but he can't beat Jinder Mahal.
nah, and
No.
not only Nakamura suffered from this, like Rusev is probably a big guy that suffered out of this, and people don't
Yeah,
really realize it. Like he was supposed to get the
absolutely.
title match at Money in the Bank against Randy Orton. That was swept under the rug. It never happened according to WWE. It he was even in the spot for Survivor Series, and he just got pulled out at the last second for John Cena.
At least with Cena, it's one thing, but I mean, I'm sorry, for Jinder Mahal, what? But at least with Rusev's at least won something and has proven he can do some good things. He's got some big wins. He's got Lana.
And
Pause
he's
for a second,
really,
Molly.
really entertaining. That's for sure.
He is. He is hilarious. I mean, he's got charisma. He's got it. But Mahal had the Singh brothers. Pause for us trying to come up with the next good thing about him.
He's from a country with 1.3 billion people, even though barely
No,
3,000
he's
speak his
not.
language. Well, yeah,
No, he's
Canada.
not. He's from. Yeah. Maybe he signed with TNA. Maybe TNA will want him. Um, yeah, it was an experiment that didn't work, and it's very clear that WWE is pulling the plug on it very, very fast.
I'd
And
argue it wasn't fast enough.
yeah, well, I was there the night he became number one contender, and my head started to hurt. But yeah, so it looks like the Mahal experiment is over. Several months too late. But now the interesting thing is going to be just seeing how far down he falls, because it's going to be a long way.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have told me like you were going to give him the U.S. title, like that would have been perfectly
Yeah,
fine for me, and I think it would have generated a good amount of buzz. But no, WWE just wanted to go
yeah,
full hog with him.
yeah. I'm sorry. He could. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are stuck. If nothing else, this opens a lot of doors for Sami and Owens also, because they're not going to feud with Mahal. You could see them feuding with Styles, which there's an interest to that. If nothing else, the matches will be good.
Well, hopefully
But
better
yeah,
than the
I'm
last
just
ones they had.
yeah. Mahal, it didn't work. I didn't like it. I don't know many people who did. If they claim they do, just stop talking, please. Because odds are you're just trying to be ironically funny, and it's not working.
Yeah, that's pretty predominant around. But another guy who is in the deep push ladder right now, that'd be Jason Jordan, especially after last night on Raw, where poor guy, he gave quite the performance. Like I actually liked his performance on Raw,
Mm-hmm.
but man, is he going against a storm trying to get this character over of being Angle's son.
Yeah. I mean, I know back in the day, it was very common to do the whole, oh, he's my cousin, he's this person's nephew, whatever. It's not working today. The other problem is you had Chad Gable sitting there with the charisma and the talking ability and a better wrestling pedigree than Jordan. And I'm guessing they switched it because we figured out that Chad Gable would make too much sense.
Nah, dude, I mean, you haven't seen Jordan's physique, those abs, how tall he
Yeah.
is, man. Like, how could you not go with Jordan? Okay, sarcasm over, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like he's not trying.
Yeah, Jordan is trying. Jordan has not been this dismal. Jordan is not a dismal failure by any means. He is giving this a very hard go. The problem is he needs to be fighting somebody like he needs to be going after like the Intercontinental title or something, which they tried and that didn't really work. Um, though I am kind of wondering what the heck has happened to Elias, who I haven't seen in a couple of weeks.
That's a good question. I don't know. Rehab after his
Yeah,
guitar got broken.
maybe. Oh, it wasn't. Oh, no, he was around last week with the guitar on a pole match. That was last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Um,
That was so
yeah,
short. I forgot about it.
yeah. But with Jordan, there's potential there. I have no idea why they broke up American Alpha so soon. That team should have been around for years. Um, but the whole Kurt Angle son thing, it's not working. It's a bad story. Jordan is trying, which I can respect, and I hope WWE acknowledges that as well. Um, but this isn't working,
Yeah, and
and I
he's had some
go
great
ahead.
matches too with Finn Balor, John Cena.
Yeah,
Like I was there for his match with Roman Reigns live. Like he won the crowd over. Like he was that good in the
yeah,
ring.
yeah. Jordan is talented. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But it's just like we need this character isn't working. I mean, he was in NXT for years with everybody knew he had charisma or he had talent. He needed someone to help with the talking, and that was Chad Gable. And once they got together, American Alpha was one of the best teams that they had, but it was Gable doing the talking to make it work. I mean, there's a promo they did where Jordan says, "I want to fight the best team in NXT history," and Gable looks up at him and says, "Man, we talked about this. We can't wrestle ourselves."
Yeah, I remember
And
that
it
one.
and that line sold me on that team so well. And then just watch their matches with the Revival to see what else sold me on them that well.
Yeah.
But this isn't working. The For one thing, putting him in the main event of Survivor Series was too much. He was in way over his head, and thankfully they've come to their senses on that. I mean, Jordan needs to be around the mid card for a while, maybe even in a tag team, something like that. You can't just hotshot a career tag guy up to a main event spot like that. And thankfully, WWE has pulled back on the reins. No pun
Well,
intended.
I like to think that maybe they had Triple H planned the whole time, and this was just I don't know a red herring.
That's
Hopefully.
very possible. That is very possible. And that would be a good idea. I mean, Triple H. I'm not a big fan of a lot of his stuff. He feels like a big deal. I was excited when he got the spot.
Yeah. But Survivor Series, of course, is this Sunday. Before that, we got Takeover, which now that I think about it, I didn't even have plugged here. Like we should probably talk about freaking War Games is on this card.
Yeah, yeah. Um, For those of you who are too young to remember or who didn't watch WCW, and I can't imagine why you wouldn't have, War Games is an idea started in the NWA. I believe it was July 4th, 1987. You take two rings, you put them next to each other, you put one massive cage over them, and people enter one at a time. And the winner is the winning team is the team that survives because you can only in the original you could only win by submission. Now you can win apparently by pinfall or submission, which is certainly different. But with three teams, you can't do. It's kind of impossible to alternate like that, especially considering the match would be about 4 hours long. The thing I most about this, the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong are the weakest of these teams. It is completely plausible that they can win. Completely plausible.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, this is a great
if you look at
match.
it is. If you look at most WWE shows, you can always write off one or two names, just they're not going to win. That's not the case here. And that's really cool. That is a very nice change of pace. I mean, obviously the money should probably be on the Undisputed Era, but any of those teams could win. And that's very cool. And I really like that. It's a nice feeling to go in where you're not 100% sure who's going to win the thing.
Yeah, between that and just the announcement in general, like Regal announcing
Oh
this match
yeah,
was amazing. It was an amazing moment.
it was. It was because it's like we can't do anything other than this. We have to go to the extreme measure, and that's where NXT feels special because it's not going to happen in WWE, but it's happening here. You can see this, and it makes sense for what they're doing. That the story that they've been telling leads up to this very well. They took the time and actually built this up.
Yeah, and it makes sense too that it's an NXT. Like when you consider that it is a Dusty Rhodes creation, and NXT
Yeah,
fashions itself as a Dusty Rhodes creation. So of course we got the two together here.
yeah, yeah. Dusty, for all of his faults, and there are a lot of them, he was a legitimate genius with some of the stuff he came up with. If nothing else, he came up with a lot of WCW's pay-per-view names. Whereas Eric Bischoff's big contribution was uncensored.
Oh well,
Yeah,
you can't win
yeah.
them all.
Well, he didn't win any of them in that situation. Uh, but the War Games should be a lot of fun. The rest of the card should be pretty good too. The women's four-way could really go to anyone not named Peyton Royce.
Ah, dude,
Uh,
I am starting to believe she might win it. Just
really?
just so they could say she is the polar opposite of Asuka. Like you could probably give her a short run, 2 months or something like that,
Yeah.
but chances are they are gonna go with the polar opposite to Asuka.
Mm, maybe. Maybe. Again, it's possible. And that's what makes it fun.
Yeah,
In theory, it should be Kairi Sane, but they've built up Ember Moon as the heir apparent. But Nikki Cross is freaking nuts, and Peyton Royce is
gorgeous.
very curvy. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. I'm still thinking that she and Billie Kay get the call up pretty soon, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, and that makes it fun to watch.
Yeah, that's the end. It's refreshing too, like for NXT being this unpredictable but not in a crazy way kind of product.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I've ever told this story on the show before, but the moment that I got into NXT and realized it was something special was in January of 2013. The Shield it was Seth Rollins defending against Corey Graves, and the Shield came in and wrecked everybody. Dusty Rhodes sends out the locker room. They get wrecked as well. And I said out loud watching the show, without knowing the spoilers, I said out loud, in a good wrestling promotion, this is where the unstoppable monster would come out for the big showdown. And here comes Big E Langston. Just on cue, perfect timing, and the Shield bails. And I'm like, okay, this is different. I like this. And I've been a huge fan ever since.
Yeah, like NXT has built up that history, so this show's gonna be great, of course. But
Yeah,
we got to change our pace, man. We got to talk about it. Impact.
go ahead. Ugh.
We'll start with the sadder note before we go to the just dumb note. James Storm, like James Storm is gone from Impact Wrestling. Like he said goodbye in the tapings,
Yeah,
and this is the end of his second run. And to me, that's a real shame because to me he was probably my favorite TNA wrestler just outside of AJ Styles. Like he had done it all, but he did have a rather lousy run as world champion. Like he deserved more, as far as I'm concerned.
he really did. I have no idea to this day why he didn't take the title from Rude at Lockdown. That made no sense, and it completely deflated. That was the end of his big run. He should have won the title there, and he didn't, and so much for that. But yeah, Storm is one of the last surviving TNA originals, and it's sad to see him go. He was one of those guys where you knew you were going to get at least something good, if not something very good, and it's a shame that he's leaving after the completely nothing AAA versus TNA feud, and now I won't go into spoilers of what happens when he leaves the company, but it's not much of an upgrade.
No. And
Yeah,
man,
it's
that
it's
like that AAA feud was such a hilarious mess. Like I don't know if you ever noticed, but AAA was sticking their feud between Tejano and Fantasma in the show when they weren't supposed to.
I saw that and I'm like, okay. I was thinking, well, I could ask Killjoy about this, but he might explain it to me, and I would care somehow even less. Yeah. It's oh my goodness, it was so boring. I
Yeah.
cannot get over how uninteresting that feud was. It literally felt like here are six guys who have nothing else going on. One of them happens to be a champion. Let's throw them all into one big feud and hope for the best.
Yeah, it was a shame. I mean, you got like five really talented guys and Pagano, and this
Yeah,
was the best thing they came up with.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Storm, Eddie, and you've got three former world champions there. Why are they in a nothing mid card feud for the sake of pushing the fact that we have these global partnerships?
You know, at the very least, they
That's
could have done Lethal Lockdown. They did. They didn't even do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That would have been better. It would have made the show somewhat more interesting. As Bound for Glory, looking back on it, that's one of the worst shows they've ever put on, and that's covering a lot of ground.
It
I
was.
have
It
no, I have
was.
no, I I have no idea what I was supposed to get out of watching that show, but I didn't get it. I didn't get what was the fun part about that show?
The episode that came afterwards, I would assume, like that was way better than Bound for Glory.
It was better. It wasn't great. Uh, yeah. But yeah, Storm leaving. It's sad. I don't know. I don't know if he'd go back to WWE at this point. I don't really know if he should. He Storm's the kind of guy he could probably just take indie bookings for as long as he wants to.
Yeah, chances are you'll
So
probably see him. I don't know, maybe House of Hardcore or something like that.
yeah, yeah. Which I mean, Storm was he was just kind of a likable guy. But the problem is when you stick him in all these nothing horrible stories, typically around a faction, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, when you think about it, he
I
was in
mean,
a lot of factions too.
he was in the the Revolution. We're completely not ripping off the Wyatt family, DCC.
You got that. You got Fortune. You got Planet
Fortune, yeah,
Jarrett.
yeah. He was between him and Scott Steiner. They were in like every faction imaginable, and like the Revolution. What was the point of the Revolution again?
I don't know. They didn't revolutionize much.
That was good. Um, yeah, just he was just kind of once, like I said, once he lost that cage match to Rude, there was no going back for him, and I think everybody kind of knew it.
Yeah, and it's such a shame too. Like he was gaining such momentum back then. Like I remember him being
He
in
was,
the country music awards, music videos, and all that. Like he felt like a top star, and they just failed to
yeah,
follow up, which they do a
and Rude,
lot.
yeah, and who winds up getting the big push? Sting, because he needed it. I love Sting to death. He's one of my favorites of all time. I don't need to see him getting pushed over younger stars who could help carry that company, which needed all the carrying it could get.
Yeah, especially one that was finally actually making money for TNA.
Yeah, it just what a mess. There's a heck of a book to be written about every bit of failure that TNA has had over the years. It'll be about the size of my dresser, and that'll cover 2004 to 2005 alone.
Well, speaking of money, money they just handed out. They had their Impact tapings last week, and
Yes, they
rather
did.
than fans paying them to attend, they paid fans to attend the shows.
Yeah, which apparently went so poorly and was so soundly rejected that the company that they paid to set up this this listing, because they had to pay them too, probably. They deleted the tweet and changed their Twitter account to private.
Like, and it's not even the first time something happened like that happens. Like, it
No,
happened with poor Claire Lynch too.
don't get me started on her. Please don't. That was one of my all-time favorite rants, and I don't have the vocal cords to do it again.
But yeah,
I
just
could not stand
and they're gonna stick around Canada apparently, or they're gonna try at least.
until Canada gets bored of them and kicks them out. Because at the moment they're not. TNA is not a major promotion. They can claim they are. They're not by any stretch. Ring of Honor has long surpassed them. I mean, who is TNA's top star right now? Alberto El Patron? Oh, yay. Johnny Impact, or whatever he's calling himself this week? Yay.
When you talk about these companies, like, it's kind of funny. Of course, you got WWE on top, and under them you got like international ones like CMLL, New Japan, AAA, and then you got like Ring of Honor, Evolve, and those independents, and then in a far corner that just happens to have television is Impact. No one knows what position they are. They just exist. They're there.
Yeah. I mean, right now, there's probably some British independents that are bigger than them, or at least more stable.
You got
British
Progress. You got Rev Pro.
Yeah.
WCPW up until a couple of weeks ago had more viewers on their internet channel.
What is like Destiny or Desire Pro or something like that now?
Defiant.
That's it.
Yeah.
I knew it was D something. Yeah. I don't know. It's Impact has. The thing is, they used to be big. That's all that anyone remembers. They used to be a big deal. And now, I mean, you look around, just compare it to like 4 or 5 years ago when they had Hogan and Sting and Bully Ray and all these other people, like these legitimate big name stars, and now, my goodness, it's astounding how far this thing has fallen. And they weren't that high up to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I get bored watching Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor at least has some unique names to them. And they have the tie-in with New Japan. That's a big deal on its own. You know, I mean, if you just look at the names that have left Impact in the last... I mean, remember when they had Cody Rhodes? Does anybody remember that?
I think they had him for like a cup of coffee, took a piss, and then left.
Yeah. Yeah. You have him, you had... but now, now, we have Pagano and those MMA guys whose names we might remember. And those people from Noah.
Hey,
yeah.
at least those 7 years of build towards King Mo's debut paid off.
Yeah, that too. And then remember, MMA guys are better than wrestlers.
Yep, we proved it at Bound for Glory.
Yeah, it's that company astounds me sometimes. The fact that they are just this walking corpse of a wrestling company that just won't go away. Though, you know, the thing is, you know who the happiest person associated with that company is now?
Wait, who would that be?
Dixie Carter. You thought I was the problem. You see? Look at how bad it is without me around. It's just as bad. Quit blaming me for everything.
Oh my god.
Wait. Darling.
It's actually astounding too, because you would think with all the changes done to this company, something would change, and it nothing did. Nothing did. They still think the same. They still do the same booking ideas. Like, biggest match of the year ends with interference.
Yeah. And pushing a guy who used to be a big deal in WWE, who has caused headache after headache since arriving there. It has been headache after headache with Alberto. I don't know if he's that big of a deal down in. I know he's a big deal in Mexico. I don't know if he's as big as people would like you to believe.
No.
Okay. I didn't think he was. I know Mundo was until a couple of weeks ago was like the undisputed king champion of AAA.
Yeah.
I know he lost 2 of those titles. So because the problem is, it really does kind of feel like they're just setting up Mundo versus Mundo, Johnny Impact, because I still think of him as Johnny. When I write those reviews, I have to go through every time and make sure, did I say Mundo in here anywhere?
You see,
Because
he
that's
was
what
Mundo versus Impact versus Morrison versus Nitro versus Hennigan.
he wrestles Boone the Bounty Hunter occasionally on the Indies.
Oh my god, now he's got that too.
The funny thing was, he was on Austin's podcast and they asked him what's the difference between those characters. And just whatever name I come out to, I wrestle the same. It just felt like changing it up every now and then. It's the exact same character. I just have this bad feeling they're trying to set up like who is the real Mexican champion, and that's their big story. While Eli Drake is just sitting there doing the best promo work in the company, wondering where it all went wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately too, because the dude's been great on the mic.
I have loved his mic stuff, and
But
he's even made Chris Adonis work fine.
yeah, like his promo in Mexico is still my favorite one.
That was good. Yeah, he's he's talented. He's got a great look. He can talk. His in-ring work is fine. But the thing is also he's the closest thing they have to a homegrown star, which is why currently he's roughly 7th or 8th in level of importance in that company.
Yeah, behind Impact, you got Alberto Del Rio, Lashley. You could put all the MMA guys there too. Yeah, he's gonna fall behind real quick.
Moose.
Moose.
Yep. You could probably LAX and OVE are treated as bigger deals.
Yeah, but I think that's it for this week. Like we covered all our topics, and of course we had our fun with Impact and all that. We got Survivor Series coming up. Of course, we got War Games, which I can't wait for.
Yes. Yeah.
But other than that, like man, plug away your stuff, your website and all that.
Yeah. Well, I've actually got a new book, hopefully, coming out in about 3 days or so. It is. This might be why I'm in such a bad mood with this stuff lately. The second half of 1999 Thunder and Nitro.
Oh my god.
That's what I've been looking at for the last couple of days. Impact is actually better than that. Not by much, but it is better. Basically, I have gone through and checked out every episode of Nitro and Thunder from July '99 through the end of 1999. Which, yes, that does cover Russo, or at least part of it. The first Russo run before they fired him twice in the span of a year. So it's every one of those shows. It's contributing to my psychiatry bills. That should be out on Friday. You can get the info to that at kbwrestlingreviews.com. I have all my other books there, paperbacks, on pretty much just about every topic you could think of from American wrestling. I've got thousands of reviews. I recently just did my 5,000th review. So I've been doing this a while. I think the oldest show I've covered is from the early 60s, all the way up to last night's Raw, and pretty much every point in between. Of course, I'm on WrestlingRumors.net, which you probably know if you're listening to this. And yeah.
Yeah, other than that, you can find me on Facebook. I've got my own little blog there, AB Morales, a blog about wrestling, anime, and video games. I update that every once in a while. I also got a Spanish website, if you read Spanish, impactoestelar.com. Like I do pretty much the same thing KB does, but in Spanish. And I talk about other shows too. Boy, you do not want to watch Puerto Rican wrestling. It is a nightmare.
Oh, I've heard.
Of course, it stopped recently, but just letting it be known. There's some good stuff there too. Like LAX had a great match down there recently.
Did they have more fans, more people in the ring or in the crowd?
They were in the crowd. Actually, there was a lot of people in that show. It's a pretty good show.
Oh, good. Yeah.
But other than that, I think that does it for this week. Shane will be back soon. Hopefully, he's off of personal issues. So, other than that, that would be the end for us. So, we'll see you next time, guys. Thank you for listening.
Adios.